Well, it was good to be with the team today, and I thought last week the bye week was good and got enough work done that was needed. We were able to focus on kind of our first 4 games and where we need to get better and can improve, and things were doing well. So it was a good bye week, but certainly excited to get back and get playing against back home, and obviously a ton of respect for Nebraska, and we got to have a great week of preparation.
Paul, what are some of the specifics that you emphasized during the bye week, and how much progress do you feel like you saw in those areas?
Well, I think it's the specifics depend on each player, and certainly you take a look at some of your schematic, offensively, defensively, special teams, but it's really how can we bring out a better player in each one, and so I think it gives you a chance to get really narrowed down with each position, and each player's a little bit different, kind of specifically, but it was good, and it's a good time. Guys want to get better, and they want to work at it, and so if you can, as a coach, if you can show them those different areas, whether it's footwork or whether it's understanding of how you fit in a play, there's a ton of things that you can do.
Well, coming in as a freshman to play quarterback is not an easy task, but it looks like that Martinez has adjusted pretty well. What threats does he pose, and how is he going to stress your defense this week?
Well, you're right. It's not easy, and you tip your hat to anybody that can come in, and I think he's very talented, and 2, seems like he's got good poise, and watch it, and he can. Makes you defend, I think him and their offense make you defend the whole field and really the whole play, right? He can, when things break down, he can be very dangerous and effective. And so I think that, each week it's kind of interesting, but each week poses different challenges for you, and certainly, he's a big part of what they're doing offensively, but we know, they've got some other really good skill players around them, so I think the combination makes them very explosive.
Yes. Well, we noticed Durrant Harold is listed as a co-starter on the depth chart now. What has he done to kind of push himself into that opportunity, and how do you feel like he played against Iowa after watching the tape? Yeah, I thought
Durrant did some good things. Really, I think a lot of our young DBs have each had their moments, and it'll be, we're going to need them all, and you got to keep working on developing. And Durrant's talented, and he's, gaining more and more confidence with the position. And the first thing for him was them playing in games, and how do you adjust within a game, and he's learning to do that and getting better at it. And yet I think all the young DBs, we're going to need them, and they've all done things that have been good, and you want to build on, and each one's got areas that they've got to continue to work on. So that's why he's listed as that, because that's what it is. He's giving himself an opportunity to get more reps, to get more playing time.
Well, Nebraska's going through maybe one of its toughest stretches as a program in decades. What do you, if anything, do you say to your team? I know they've played in some pretty close games over the years, but how do you prepare them to face a team that is probably hungry to turn things around in a hurry?
Yeah, I mean, you plan on each week, getting that team's best shot, and you watch the film, and our kids have already watched a lot of their film, and you see, what they're capable of being, and that's a really good football team, and so I think what you got to do is you got to prepare. Certainly, the opponent matters, but I think a big part of preparation is getting yourself and us as a team ready, knowing that you're going to get that team's best shot on Saturday. So you watch the film and you can see it, and that the players. That's why you play the game. You don't, whatever's being said, whatever's happened before, it doesn't matter. It's what matters Saturday. And so to give yourself the best chance on Saturday, you got to have a good week of preparation.
Well, I think if you look at the numbers, your passing game has been pretty efficient. Has it been as consistent a factor in games as you'd like, and what do you have to do going forward?
Yeah, that's. I think there's been times where it's been what you want, and yet I think that, just offensively you want to be balanced, and I think there's a lot of areas that we can still be a little bit more effective, be more efficient, and I think that you really can take a look at the passing game and you can break it down into all the different situations that come up, and there's certainly some that we're doing well and others that, like third down passing so different than first down passing, and then when you're in the red zone it's different. So I think there's still a lot that we can get better at, but I think there has been some good that you want to build on, and you'd like for that to become something that you can do consistently throughout. But absolutely think that there's some areas within it, and particularly in various different situations, that we can get better and need to get better to give ourselves, the best chance and really to become a balanced offense.
About explosiveness down the field, is that something you're
I
going
think
to
that's part of it,
for?
yeah. And yet you got to be careful of trying to make that the end game, and then you lose everything, But I think that there is certainly, we've been more explosive in the run game in many ways than we have in the passing game, and you'd like to balance that out.
Jeff? Well, not to suggest that Jake Ferguson has arrived as a receiver, but based on what you saw in spring and camp, is he giving you the threat as a receiver, along with Alex, that you thought you'd get from him this year?
Yeah, I think that he has, done a nice job, and maybe you notice it more, or you're not unsure of kind of how they handle each week and playing in games. And I've liked the progress that Jake has made each week, and I think understanding kind of the level of compete and the level of preparation and the approach to it has been something that it's been good to see out of Jake. And he has given us certainly some very significant moments and plays, and yet that he can continue to get a lot better, and that's what's kind of fun about coaching Jake.
Jason? Well, how much has Gehrig Recs' versatility really benefited your offense this year? Does he kind of have everything you look for in a passing down back?
Grosh really, and I think last year he did it as well, and he brings a ton to this offense, and certainly the situations he's in, but just I think kind of his approach, and he's a guy that our team gets energy from and they feed off of, and so I like the way that Grosh has been playing the last couple of weeks, and every guy can bring so much, and they're asked differently. Their tasks, their roles a little bit different, but Grosh is important to this team.
You were the offensive coordinator when Nebraska came here, played its first game in the Big Ten. I know the rivalry doesn't run as deep as Iowa or Minnesota, but what have your impressions been of the matchup between these two teams, and maybe what it means to the fan bases?
Yeah, I don't. I think obviously as far as fan base, I think two, fan bases are passionate about their team, and yet I know the games that I've been able to be a part of, they've been big games, and they're going to be 4-quarter plus games, and our players know that. Just recently, the games that we've had, and you gotta fight, and you gotta earn everything you get, and so it's they've been good games. Ones I've been a part of have been really good games, and want to make sure we do all we can this week in preparing so we can have another really good game.
Jeff? Well, after the BYU game, some of your defenders were not happy with how they played. Two of them in particular were TJ and Ryan. How did they respond after going through the film of the BYU from preparation to Iowa and then playing against Iowa?
I thought, they, Ryan and TJ as leaders were kind of how a lot of guys felt, and as a team, and I was proud of the response, and lessons that are learned every week. and how do you go forward. But you know, those two particularly have played a lot of football and played a lot of really good football, and so when things don't go the way you'd like, you know, they're going to take it personally, and what you appreciate as a coach is they're going to put that into action. And I thought their preparation was outstanding, and I think it's, you know, great examples of how, regardless of whether you won or lost, that how you've got to prepare for each week. You know, those two set a great tone and examples, and a lot of people can learn from it.
Well, some of us, yourself included, remember when Nebraska was competing for national championships every single year. Does that resonate with your players at all? It's been a while for Nebraska, and do you have to work to get them to, you know, think of Nebraska in that manner?
You know, I think it really what matters to the players the most is kind of where they're at right now. And you know, our older players, you know, have played in overtime games. We've had the game, you know, where we had to fight at the end, and Hoff hits the game winner. You know, last year's was not an easy game, you know, particularly then we pulled away. But, you know, so our current players, they know that this is a talented team, and they know we're going to get their best shot, and all the other stuff, I think the guys know about it. Some do, some don't. I don't think it matters as much as kind of where they're at right now, and that's knowing we're going to face a talented team.
Anything else for Coach? Hold on, Tom.
Obviously, did your assessment of the team. What do you think you need to do on defense going forward here?
Well, I think, you know, one area that we thought that we could get better is just situationally playing the game and understanding different situations, and certainly, you know, some of the production things that people are going to look at, you know, feel like we just got to, you know, how do you find that one or two more steps? You know, is that, how can you hold, you know, maybe in the back end in coverage wise, you know, just make the quarterback hold it one split second so we can get more pressure on the quarterback, and you know, certainly, you know, each team presents some different challenges, but overall, and how you can go forward, I think a lot of it's just kind of situationally, how do you play it? You know, the difference, a third down from a first and second down, and then you could even narrow that down to a third and medium versus a, you know, third and 11 or 12. So I think just kind of situationally understanding what offenses are doing, how you can play it, and then, you know, how can you create a little bit more production. And a lot of it's just, you know, where do you find that one or two more steps?